Am I the asshole for letting my son call my best friend, Dad? My 30M relationship with my wife Sam, 29F, has been rocky since our son Oliver was born 2 years ago. She got pregnant just a few months after we got married and things were fine up until Oliver's delivery. I assume it was postpartum depression. Sam never sought out a specific diagnosis, but after he was born it was like she just couldn't care less about our child. We hadn't planned to have children so early into our marriage and it was scary, but I can't describe to you the all-encompassing love that comes with being a parent. The fear was worth it for me. It still is and always will be. Throughout Oliver's life, but especially that first year, I was essentially acting as a single parent. The only help I had, and I don't mean for that to sound diminishing because this man is a godsend, was my best friend, Matt, 33M. The plan was for Oliver to be breastfed, but my wife had no interest in it after he was born. I was the one changing diapers and mixing up formula for bottles, and being in the house we shared felt so oppressive. Like the joys of bonding with my son were being sucked out of me because of the energy there. So I would take Oliver to Matt's. I don't want to ramble on for too long, but there have been exactly 0 times in life where Matt hasn't shown up for me. I've known him since I was 19 and can safely say that even after all that time. But this is the most wonderful thing he's given me. I could sleep soundly knowing my baby would be taken care of. I had a place of refuge. He is so good with Oliver and is my shoulder to cry on. I don't think I'll ever be able to repay him, but I'm definitely trying every single day. Things with my wife have kind of started to look up, but recent events have sent us in a huge downward spiral. Oliver was having some speech delays, but he's been really picking things up as his 3rd birthday nears. He's babbled, da-da-da, towards Matt and I for a while now, but, Daddy, has since been added to his vocabulary and that is used to refer to us both. I have never corrected him. I checked in with Matt to make sure he was fine, and he said he was honored to be bestowed with such a title. Sam got to hear this recently when I was on FaceTime with Matt and she basically went ballistic. As much as I hate to admit it, I did say he was more of a parent than she had been, which, while true, is hurtful. I need outside opinions on this. Am I the asshole for allowing him to call him Dad? Not the asshole. But I feel like there's a huge part of this story missing. The kid is 2 years old and you are still bringing him over there? Without more details, I'll take your wife's side and say it sounds like you are retreating to your friend's house far too much like it's your family's house. Your wife is probably jealous, suspicious because you are really gushing over this dude and putting her down. Like really, you are putting your wife down way too much for someone that just had a kid with her. ETA. If she had these issues, have you brought them up? Has she addressed them? Do you communicate these feelings or just go your friend's house? Am I the asshole for making my son make his own food? My son 9M is insanely picky. He won't eat almost everything. This started when he was around 5. He would come home from kindergarten with untouched lunches except for his yogurt and applesauce. We took him to the pediatrician, who said we needed to consult with a dietitian. While we were waiting for approval from our insurance, we tried different things to get our son to eat. Eventually we figured that he will eat stuff like mashed potatoes and soup, anything he doesn't have to chew. So we just started accommodating that. We tried to make balanced meals, mixing soft vegetables into his mashed potatoes and such. We figured he would grow out of this, but he never did. I got sick of making separate meals or eating pureed food every night. I started bringing my son into the kitchen with me and teaching him to use a blender and other kitchen tools. Now, my son makes his own food almost every night I cook. My wife still makes separate meals for him. She says I am an asshole for making him make his own food. I supervise him and help him with whatever he needs. I think he needs to know how to make his own stuff, because there is no way people are going to accommodate this throughout his life. We've been fighting about it more lately. AITA. Oh, and we never did figure out why he doesn't like chewing. Dietitian referred us elsewhere and insurance wouldn't pay. But it doesn't really matter at this point. Edit. I'd appreciate it if people would answer the question I'm actually asking. Is making my son cook an asshole move? Instead of trying to armchair diagnose him. Our pediatrician is highly qualified and works with a dedicated team. I'm listening to them, not a bunch of random people on the internet. The fact that you think you know more than his doctor, who has known him 9 years and has a plethora of information about his health based on a short post with a tiny amount of medical information, shows you really shouldn't be giving out medical advice. YTA, not for making him cook, but for failing to get him the appropriate medical care to work out if there is a serious issue. Edit because everyone seem upset that I am calling op you're the asshole for not pursuing further medical intervention. The main reason I am saying that is that op said they had been directed to further inventions and, because insurance wouldn't pay and it doesn't matter why a literal child won't chew, has elected to not pursue them or insurance-approved alternatives. The solution of punish child by making him cook mush, rather than get a second or third job in 5 years to pay for the additional intervention as to why he will only eat mush makes op you're the asshole. Am I the asshole for having a craving of something that makes my partner sick? I, 25 female, recently found out I was pregnant with my partner Lyle's, 26 male, baby. We've been together for 3 years and we live together. Lyle has ADHD, which he refuses to get treatment or medication for. He's pretty normal about 85% of the time, so I haven't really pushed it. One thing that really affects him though is sensory problems. He has a few, but the biggest one is bananas. He cannot stand the smell of a banana or the taste of banana. He's accidentally eaten something with banana before and ran to the bathroom like a child to throw it up. If we are somewhere and someone is eating a banana, he will claim that he can smell it in the room and make us move with the threat that he will get sick. If we don't move, he will start gagging, make himself throw up, and I've seen him start shaking too. This has happened in public before and it's extremely embarrassing. Anyway, let me tell you what happened. I was really tired, pregnant, and hormonal yesterday and while I was watching my show I had a craving for a banana, which I normally avoid when around Lyle, but pregnancy cravings are just too strong to resist. He was going to get groceries from work, so I called and asked him to get me some bananas because I was having a craving. He started begging me before he even got them to not eat them in the house, and I just got fed up and told him no, that I was carrying around his child, and the least he could do about it since he's not the one having to nurture the damn thing in his stomach was get me a banana. I'd read online that this was probably the baby's way of telling me it's deficient in potassium, and that all I could really stand to eat at this point was the damn banana, and I don't want to deprive it of what it needs. He argued back and forth asking me to go eat it outside at least, and out of frustration I just started crying, which made me feel embarrassed. He finally gave in to calm me down and brought it home. I'll admit, I was still really mad and upset from our argument on the phone when he came home, and I in that moment couldn't face getting up and going to the kitchen. When he came into the living room and sat on the couch, I asked him to peel it, cut it, and bring it to me. I really didn't think that was a big deal, but he blew up at me and told me that I knew it made him sick to even smell or touch. I told him that plenty of people have foods they don't like, and he either needs to grow up or seek help for his illness because he's acting like a child and his problem with bananas is completely abnormal. We argued a bit more, and he finally got up, yelled that he was tired of my bullshit, and left the house. He hasn't been back yet. I get his issues are a sensitive topic for him, and when I was talking to my friend about it, she said she had an autistic sister and what I did was a bit messed up. So Reddit, am I the asshole? I was with you until you made him peel and cut it for you knowing how he reacts to it. You're an awe for that. Just peel and eat the damn thing, and I'm guessing you're not far enough along that you can't grab the banana and toss it afterwards yourself. You are the asshole. You are the asshole. Cravings and pregnancy don't give you the right to treat your partner like shit. If you think he's such a child and exaggerating his sensory issues, why did you choose to have a child with him in the first place? Am I the asshole for asking my sister if her wedding was worth it? My 27M sister, 24F, got married last Saturday. It was a nightmare. She and my mom spent nearly the entire year in the lead-up to the event talking about it. This wouldn't have bothered me if it was excitement fueling all of those conversations, but instead it was stress. I've never seen the appeal of a big wedding, but watching this play out has solidified my point of view. My husband and I got married in a small ceremony in front of only close family and friends, maybe 25 people there at most, hosted a slightly bigger reception for others we also wanted to celebrate with, and called it a day. There was no anxiety about planning, no looming dread that this perfect day we had built up in our heads might not go 100% as planned. Just us celebrating our love with people we love. My sister's wedding was the antithesis of that. It was over the top. The guest list was already massive, and then she allowed children there on top of that. If you can imagine 200+ people plus kids running around what is supposed to be a peaceful event and not get anxious, I envy you. I already knew the whole thing was going to go terribly, as much as I hate to say it. You can't welcome that level of mayhem while also having your itinerary planned down to the minute. There was nothing intimate or personal. It seemed she was inviting friends she hadn't spoken to in years just to fill out more seats. The whole thing was ostentatious, and I have no idea who she was trying to impress. Myself and the rest of our siblings are all in similar financial situations. Just because you have the money to pay for something doesn't mean you should. My husband and I were ready to head home right after the ceremony, but we played nice and stuck around. At one point over the course of the night she ended up in tears, unsurprisingly. I got roped into trying to comfort her, and I asked my sister if it was worth it. Was all the planning and stress and money dropped on this event worth the final outcome? My mom told me that my attitude the entire day had been terrible, the comments from my husband and I were distasteful, and that the question I had asked was awful and rude. I haven't spoken to either she or my sister since. Am I the asshole? You are the asshole, editing and adding this after the fact since this is getting a lot of votes, and wasn't sure the bot would pick up the sarcasm. INFO. Was making your sister feel bad on her wedding day in order to get a dig in and make yourself feel superior worth it? Your attitude is nasty. I don't know who the fuck you are keeping company with, but almost every wedding I've attended had 200 plus guests, about half had children, and nothing turned to mayhem. Climb down off your high horse. Nobody thinks you're special just because you had a small wedding. You are the asshole.